Welcome back. Now, the Twitter files. New Twitter owner Elon Musk exposing former Twitter leadership and employees who were colluding with Democrats and the Biden campaign to alter the 2020 election. Tweeting out this: the obvious reality, as longtime users know, is that Twitter has failed in trust and safety for a very long time and has interfered in elections. Now, in the data dump over the weekend, Musk revealed details on how, by 2020, requests from connected political operatives to delete tweets were routine at Twitter. One Twitter executive would write to another, "More to review from the Biden team." Then the reply would come back, "Handled," in censoring the details of influence peddling and business deals with Chinese officials tied to the Communist Party, among other influence peddling. That happening just weeks before election 2020. As journalist Matt Taibbi tweeted over the weekend, Twitter took extraordinary steps to suppress the story, removing links, posting warnings that it may be quote-unquote unsafe. They even blocked its transmission via direct message, a tool reserved for extreme cases such as child pornography. Joining me right now is the man charged with investigating. He is House Oversight and Reform Committee ranking member, soon to be chairman of the Oversight Committee, Congressman James Comer. Congressman, thanks very much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Your reaction to Elon Musk's?
Well, thank goodness for Elon Musk. He's definitely the Grinch that stole the Christmas for the Democrat National Committee. And what he's showing here is evidence that the Biden campaign colluded with big tech to suppress a story that we now know is 100% true. The problem the Democrats should have is, why were they so scared of the laptop story? And the answer, Maria, is because the laptop proves evidence that not only did Joe Biden lie to the American people about his involvement with his family's influence peddling and shady business dealings, it also proves that Joe Biden was a part of those shady business deals, and that's something every American should be concerned about.
Well, this is really what I want to zero in on, because I've been saying for years now that this is a Joe Biden story. This is not a Hunter Biden story, because what they were selling was access to Joe, whether he was a sitting senator or whether he was the vice president. How long has this been going on? And what did Joe Biden do? Was he just making believe he knew nothing about it, but putting Hunter on Air Force One or Air Force Two when he was vice president to go visit Chinese officials?
It's more than Air Force Two. Joe Biden met with every person that he earlier said he never met. We have pictures, we have emails to prove it. Joe Biden was actively involved. What the Biden family was doing was selling access to Joe Biden. That's the family business. When people say, what were they involved in? They didn't manufacture anything, they didn't sell anything, they don't own any property, they were influence peddling. So it's very concerning when you look at who they were influence peddling with. They were influence peddling with our adversaries in Russia, Ukraine, and most concerning, China.
Unbelievable. And that's what I've been focused on, the threat of communist China. Joe Biden will not even call them an adversary. All he calls them is a competitor. So connect the dots with the national security element. This is why you're investigating so aggressively.
Absolutely. This is an investigation of Joe Biden, because we believe that the family's influence peddling is a national security risk. And when you look at national security and you look at the evidence on the laptop, energy policy is national security. And the most concerning part of the business deals, so to speak, that the Biden family was involved in, was trying to help China get their foot in the door on the American energy industry. So part of what the deal was that Joe Biden was going to be involved in was trying to help China purchase drillers in the natural gas industry. You know, people are outraged over China buying farmland in the Dakotas. Think about China buying into our American energy industry at the help of the Biden family. And then you look at all these crazy policies coming out of the Biden administration with respect to energy policy that are affecting every American in a negative way. And you think maybe he is compromised.
I want to get to that in a moment, because I know you've sent letters to the leadership in Washington about this ESG and this push on the climate change agenda. But let me get your take on this FBI agent Elvis Chan, because he was deposed and he's being charged or talked about as potentially censoring this Hunter Biden story. On his background, he says, being a first generation born in the United States, both my folks immigrated here from China. They always wanted something better for me, and so there was a few acceptable jobs for a first generation born American. Okay, he's got ties, obviously, to China. If his family is still in China, is the CCP paying them visits unless Elvis Chan sends information back to the CCP from the FBI? This is what Mike Pompeo is talking about as far as the CCP being inside the gates. This is an FBI agent.
It's certainly possible, and it's very concerning, the lack of background checks. that the FBI and the Biden family have done with respect to people that we know are affiliated or have been affiliated with the CCP. You look at Hunter Biden's personal secretary, worked for the CCP prior to working for Hunter Biden. This is how China gets their foot in the door with respect to their spy ring. I'm afraid China has their foot in the door in many different ways within our federal government right now, including in the Biden family.
Now, what else is going to come from Elon Musk, do you think? Because I know what we focused on were a lot of these emails from 2020. What about 21 and 22?
More to come there, Maria. We are pretty confident that this wasn't an isolated incident. What we've seen thus far are emails from the Biden campaign telling the Twitter that, that wasn't a true story, which that was a lie. We know now it was a true story with what the contents of the laptop are. What we haven't gotten to yet is 21 and 22 during the Biden administration. We're pretty confident that numerous officials within our federal government have been communicating on behalf of the Biden White House to Twitter as to what they can censor and not, as to who they can ban and who they cannot. So this raises a whole host of ethical issues. The 2020 stuff that he released with the Democrat National Committee on the laptop story, that raises campaign finance violations. There are a lot of problems for the Biden administration and the Biden campaign right now. Will
you be able to subpoena government officials?
We're going to do everything we can to get to the truth. We believe that Elon Musk has a lot of evidence. Part of what I've said when I took over the Oversight Committee is we're going to base everything on evidence, unlike Adam Schiff. We're not just going to be on fishing expeditions. When we go down a certain path, it's because we have credible evidence. And what Elon Musk is doing for the American people and for Republican oversight is that he's providing evidence.
Well, what Adam Schiff did during the Russia collusion story is shameful.
It is.
He went on television, he went public, and he said that there was collusion in plain sight. There absolutely was no evidence of it, but there is evidence of collusion here.
Absolutely.
Today. Let me get your take on these letters that you sent to officials in the administration about ESG and about their climate change policy. You're going to investigate that as well.
Absolutely, because one of the biggest crises of the Biden administration is their energy policy. And what we've requested is, what is their energy policy? What direction are they going in? Or what did they base selling the strategic reserves on? What exactly did they ask Saudi Arabia when they asked Saudi Arabia to increase oil production before the election? The Democrats would call that a quid pro quo in the previous administration. So we have a lot of questions with this administration pertaining to their energy policy, and hopefully we'll be able to get answers in January when we get the gavel and subpoena power.
I'm not sure Jennifer Granholm has any idea about energy policy or the business of oil companies, by the way. She's the energy secretary.
Yeah, the Biden cabinet secretaries aren't very impressive thus far in the first 2 years of their administration. What we've seen from Democrats is they've never had to answer any questions with respect to oversight. That's going to change in January. We expect every Biden cabinet official to come before all of their committees of jurisdiction and answer questions that should have been asked a long time ago by Democrats when they were in the majority.
By the way, I think he did the same thing with the rail unions. He came out and he did this whole press conference as if there was a deal. There was no deal. 4 of the unions rejected the deal, and then Congress actually jammed it down the union workers' throats.
That's right. And that's another example of failed leadership by this White House.
Congressman, we're going to be watching all of your work, important work, and we appreciate you joining me this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. James Comer joining us here on set.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.